So at this point, Boruto has defeated most of the Shinju. First it was Ryu, then it was Matsuri, and now we've gotten rid of Mamushi as well. That then leaves us with Hidori and JURA, both of whom are considered to be the strongest. Now the great thing is that I found something that should be able to beat them, which for some odd reason hasn't been mentioned in the story for a very long time. And that of course is the Ketsuryugan. Now of course you guys might be wondering, what is the Ketsuryugan and how does it defeat the Shinju? Well, it's actually quite simple, which is why I find it so funny that it hasn't been considered. But let me explain what the Dojutsu does and then we'll get into how it can affect the Shinju. So first, the Ketsuryugan is the blood red Dojutsu of the Shinoiki clan. It focuses entirely on genjutsu and iron manipulation, which is key here, but it manipulates the iron inside living targets, which by the way is something I explained in detail in my video covering every dojutsu in Naruto and Boruto. So if you guys watch that, you guys should know where I'm going with this. But the eye itself is heavily detailed in Sasuke Shinden, the Book of Sunrise novel, and also the Naruto anime. The users can literally turn humans into walking, expanding blood bombs by forcing their wounds to boil and to detonate, which is only possible if they've infused their chakra into that person. It's somewhat like bloodbending from Avatar, but also mixed in with explosive tags per se. So in essence, this dojutsu, this very overpowered dojutsu, can manipulate the blood of someone by manipulating the iron content within that blood. Now this of course is very dangerous to the Shinju because the Shinju's entire body is composed of iron. Now you guys might be wondering, what am I talking about? How does that make sense? Does the Shinju bleed? Do they have blood? Do they have iron? How do you know this? Well, I know this because it all goes back to Code and the claw marks. As we know, the claw marks of Code consist of the iron content from his blood. This was stated multiple times in the manga. First when Boruto tried to absorb it using karma but couldn't. And the reason provided was that it's not just chakra, it's also consisting of the physical iron content from Code's body. And that is why the karma seal can't absorb it, because of course the karma seal can't absorb physical material. And then we get to the Ten Tails dimension when Code created the claw grimes. He once again goes on to mention, as if it were to confirm what Kawaki said in chapter 64, that the claw marks consist of the iron content from his blood. And that is what was then used to create the claw grimes. And of course the claw grimes created the Shinju. Now of course one could say, well, even though the claw grimes created the Shinju, that doesn't mean that the Shinju now possesses the iron content that the claw grimes themselves possessed. But we know that is the case because the Shinjus also consist of Code's claw marks. We can see them on their bodies. Their entire constitution is made up of those claw marks. It's a part of their bodies, it's a part of their clothing. We also see the Shinju taking advantage of this, with Mamushi manifesting from the claw mark on JURA's body. That then simply means that JURA's body consists of the claw mark, which should also mean that his body consists of iron. So if someone were to, let's say, use the Ketsuryugan on JURA, they would be able to make him explode from the inside out and basically kill him in an instant. Now of course they would first need to damage him in some way as a way to inject their chakra into his body. But as we've seen in their prior fights, the characters don't have a problem doing so. Kawaki was able to wound him, and even base Boruto was able to wound him. So I don't see why they won't be able to do it again. Now it's also the case that Boruto doesn't have the Ketsuryugan, so that is a problem. But the funny thing is that they do have someone on payroll that does possess the Ketsuryugan. Now that person doesn't work for the Leaf, they work for the Mist. But the Leaf were the ones who captured that person, and this person is also indebted to the Leaf and also Sasuke. So there's a motivating factor there to why they would want to help, and there's also good blood between the two villages, so I don't see why they would refuse. So there's a way to get access to that dojutsu. The real problem is the application. They have to find a way to get that person's chakra into JURA's body, which would be very difficult since I don't think that person scales to JURA. So they have to come up with some strategy to get this to happen, which is very plausible, and if the writer wants that to happen, then it will happen. But I can see how some people might find that implausible given the power difference between JURA and this random Ketsuryugan user. And as you can tell, I don't remember the name of the person, but it's not relevant, so I won't look it up. The point is that they have the power that we need. Now, there's also the other possibility that they could transfer the dojutsu to someone else so they can wield it. So let's say Boruto uses that dojutsu for a brief moment to take out JURA. Boruto can definitely get a jab in on JURA, or maybe slice him with his katana that is cloaked in his chakra, and then that chakra would seep into JURA's body, and then you can use the Ketsuryugan to make him explode. And I know some Boruto fans are not gonna like this, and they're gonna say this is too, brutal for Boruto to do, and Boruto wouldn't do such a thing. And all I have to say is that when it comes to saving the world and protecting everyone he cares about, Boruto would definitely do this, and it's not like he's killing someone to, use the power. He's just borrowing the dojutsu and then they can give it back to them. It's somewhat like, or basically the same idea as Boruto taking Ada's Senringan to use the power of omnipotence. And I know people disagreed with that because of course they believe Boruto wouldn't go that far and Damon would stop it from happening even if Ada wanted to do it for some reason, even though he knows it's going to also save Ada. So I know people disagree with this, and that's fine, and I don't think this will happen, of course, but this entire video was just to pose the idea to show that there is an option that they could use. It's not like it's the end of the world and there's nothing else they could do, because that is what most people will believe, and that is what the story portrays it to be. But that's not actually true. There are other options that the story isn't taken into account, and they don't have to be fair, but there's a massive difference between there not being other options and you not wanting to use that option. And this one obviously falls into the latter. It's also kind of weird because this somewhat links back to Kakashi. He's the one who set Shino free, and everyone loves to mention that one quote from Ikimoto where he says that Kakashi would be very relevant later on in the manga, which he hasn't paid off as yet, and maybe he simply changed his mind, who knows. But it could be the case that he pays it off in this way. The great Kakashi returns with Shino and they use the Ketsuryugan to defeat the Shinju. I do think it's plausible, but it's also kinda weird to have him pop up out of nowhere and then defeat the final villain. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's good writing. So hopefully that doesn't happen. And that might sound a bit weird or confusing because I'm saying that it would make sense for the Ketsuryugan to be used, but it only works if there was some build up to it. I think people would refer to it as an ass pull or plot convenience, which of course would have some merit, unfortunately. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, this video was just to pose that idea. It's something that came to mind when recording the video for the eyes in Naruto and Boruto, and I thought to myself, well, these guys manipulate iron and Shinjus consist of iron, a lot of it, all over their bodies. This dojutsu would be a perfect counter to them. But yeah, as I said, this likely won't happen, but it's something to think about. With that said, that is it for the video. If you guys liked it, drop a like. If you're new, subscribe, and also consider becoming a member to support the channel. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Peace.